Good morning. My name is Rick Nevins. I started on a mercantile exchange in 1975. Straight out of college, Danny Curran got me my job. Some of you might remember Danny Curran. I started at $660 a month when most everybody I knew who graduated was doing something else, getting $1,000 a month. But once I got on the floor, the buzz hooked me. I worked for E.F. Hutton back when they spoke, everybody listened. It was controlled chaos down there, but it was, once you got down there, it was hard to ever think about doing anything else. My most memorable moment is probably 1987, when the crash of '87. On October 19th, there was a look of fear on people's face, the likes of which I had never seen before. All of the years and years where everybody kind of looked out for their neighbor and made sure everybody was taken care of. Those days, they left after that because everybody feared for their own safety first. The first time I had seen that, it was kind of a watershed moment for not just me, but for, I think, the membership as a whole. Everybody understood at that point that one trade potentially took you out of the business, and that could happen in a matter of seconds as opposed to hours or days or weeks. That also showed the world how much integrity this exchange had, and by exchange I mean the members, people who lost everything, honored trades that basically took them out of the business. And there aren't many places in this world then and now where someone would basically shake your hand and said, yes, I did that trade, and said, I'll see you later, I'm done. It's a pretty special place. It's changed a lot over the years. It's most people who were there in 1975 would probably tell you they're pretty sure from a personal perspective that it hasn't changed for the better. They understand that that's what progress is, and progress has some casualties for a lot of people. I'll probably include myself in that group. It's a hard way to make a living now. It was a fun way and a good way and an honorable way, contrary to what a lot of people thought of this exchange, to make a living. And your honesty and your integrity and your word were everything. If you had that and you had discipline, you could make a very good living down here. Lots and lots of stories down here. There were some bad stories, there were good stories, some funny stories. A short aside, a funny story. In the late 1980s, a well-known trader at a Christmas party said, when asked the question what kind of a year he had, he says, I had a really good year. He says, I made $800,000. And the member who asked him the question asked him, well, good, what'd you do with it? He says, and the trader said, I spent half of it on drugs and hookers and the other half foolishly. And people who know that trader and who hadn't heard that story just shake their head and go, yep, that sounds like him. And there's for every one of those stories, there's also stories where people who made a lot of money gave a lot of money, and to charity, to other members who had fallen on hard times. I can't tell you how in 1975 when I started, how this was a family atmosphere, regardless of the chaos and everything else that went on around here. It was a family, and over the years, which basically makes this exchange a microcosm of the world in general and the country in general, is that looking out for your neighbor and the greater good for everyone, those things kind of fell by the wayside, and everybody started looking out for number one, and that's kind of the way this country is right now. It's nobody's worried about the greater good anymore. It's about me and me and me and mine. It's unfortunate, but this is kind of the way civilization works. You go through cycles where things are built up and they're great and they're good, and then there's a crumbling process that takes things down, and everybody suffers, and then you build it back up greater than it ever was, and that's what we're doing right now. This exchange is going to be a part of that growth in the future. Thank you very much.